What is the way that you are to respond to them? And this is the fascinating, beautiful paradox. Is the similes, the two similes Jesus puts together. Two animals that cannot coexist. Wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. Here's the Greek, a little closer to the Greek. Shrewd like a snake, innocent like a dove. They're two opposite animals. You don't put a snake and a dove in the same cage. Not unless you just want snake. I mean, if your end result is, I've got two animals, I only need one, put them both in the same cage, guess which one you're going to have? Snake. He'll figure out a way, right? I mean, most of the time, put two in a cage and you're going to end up with just snake. They're going to figure out a way. They're shrewd. And so Jesus takes two things completely opposite and puts them into the character of his people. And a lot of people really struggle with the wise as serpents because we look at snakes in such a bad light in the Bible because how'd the book of Genesis get going? I mean, God drops man into a garden and what's the animal that walks up and starts talking? Well, there's that snake. And then we've got this snake throughout the Bible that is nipping at the heels of man, putting his poison into the human family. And we get to Revelation and the devil's even called a snake, that old serpent. Well, don't take every simile to mean that every characteristic applies. If you see a really fast runner, you say that guy's like a cheetah. Nobody thinks you mean he's yellow with spots and has a tail. What do they think you mean? That guy's fast. Now, why did you say he's like a cheetah? Because people think cheetah fast. They don't think cheetah tail. Does a cheetah have a tail? Yes, but the simile works with speed. So when Jesus says be as wise as a serpent, he isn't saying rip people off, fill them with venom, nip at their heels, hide in the weeds and wait on your chance to strike. He's using the simile that makes the most relevant sense to his sheep, the one they need to survive if they're going to live in the middle of wolves. I mean, if a sheep's going to survive in the middle of wolves, he needs a characteristic not normal to sheep. He needs to be slick like a snake. He needs the shrewdness to be able to slither his way out of some confrontations. He needs the shrewdness to know how, not to kill wolves. His job's not to kill wolves. Why? Because he has a contrasting quality. What's the contrasting quality? Be as wise as serpents, be as harmless or gentle or innocent as a dove. Well, that's a tough thing to put together. But if you could put those two characteristics into one being, what a being you'd have. What you'd have is someone who could navigate predatory waters, someone who could face wolves and not attack them, but not be destroyed by them. Someone who could show gentle innocence and mercy when need be and when necessary, who definitely could show such gentleness, mercy, and grace to his fellow sheep, wouldn't be trying to get ahead of them and make sure they die and he doesn't, because he'd have a harmless as dove nature, but he would also be shrewd and he wouldn't allow himself to be overtaken by the wolf. He would be able to function in a world in which not everybody believed in him, but it wouldn't matter because he knew who he was and he was shrewd like the snake and had the ability to make it from one place to the next place, navigating himself through the world. When Jesus sends us out as sheep in the midst of wolves, he sends us out with the command that I want you in your day-to-day walk not to become the wolf. And that's going to be the great temptation that's going to be laid out to you from this world, because the system of this world is going to teach you that only the strong survive, and that if you're going to make it in this world, you're going to have to do a few things that look a little bit worldly. And I disagree. And I think we've been lied to by the enemy for too long because we've been surrendering our kingdom identity as the sons of God so that we can function in a world that believes you can get ahead in other ways. And it's not the place that you call your primary home. You see, it is not your job to beat the wolf. It's not your job to eat the wolf. It's not your job to become the wolf. It's not your job to become a killer. You survive in a world full of killers, but you're a sheep in the midst of those wolves. You have a difference that you can make in this kingdom and in this world. I said this the other night. I want to repeat this and bring this back. I feel like we've almost surrendered some of the better qualities of humanity on the planet so that we can have other qualities of security. I don't know that we've ever lived in a time, and I've only lived in 41 years, so I can't speak for the whole of human history, but I don't know that we've ever lived in a time where the love of money was so great, where the thought of financial security was so foremost on the minds of people that it actually drove their day-to-day decisions every moment of every day. I think some of our previous generations had survival on their mind. Why wouldn't they? I mean, food wasn't always easy to come by. You didn't always have a long life expectancy. It was all about staying alive, keep breathing, keep moving. But I think we now have such a love for stuff. And I think we've kind of jaded the line between wants and needs. In fact, if I went around the room, I think most of us, if we were being honest, we don't even really know the difference in wants and needs, because we would tell ourselves that a lot of the stuff we want are the same things as the things we think we need. Well, I have to have that. And then if we did inventory, we would realize that none of that stuff keeps us alive. We would survive just fine without it. And we've jaded the line between wants and needs. And what that has done in some ways has helped us just walk over into the predatory world of the wolf, who's going to do anything and everything they have to do to achieve everything they think that they need, even though a lot of it's just wants. And we've even surrendered some of our own qualities of being sheep, so that we can go after some of the things the wolf goes after. And if we have to step on people and people have to fall behind, well, that's just all part of the experience, because you're not going to get ahead in this world unless you do X, Y, and Z. Now, Jesus knew you were going out into a world where the wolves were going to treat sheep that way. So he said, you're going to have to be shrewd. You're going to have to be wise. It's not about being shrewd so you can nip the wolf in the heel. It's going to have to be shrewd and be wise to remain sheep. Please hear that. You are being challenged to be as wise as a serpent, not to become a wolf. You're being challenged to be wise as a serpent, to remain a sheep in the middle of wolves. That is not easy to do.